The proper way to tell a story, I've found, is not to think about how you're supposed to tell it. That actually messes you up. Like if you try to think about like, oh, what came then and what came then and what came next and how am I supposed to say that whatever, that's not the correct way of telling a story. Not if you're just telling it to someone anyways. Maybe if you're writing a story, that would be reasonable. Because if you're writing a story, you're trying to get a kind of perfect retelling of what happened. But if you're telling a story, that's not exactly the purpose. The purpose of telling a story is to let people know, to evoke the mystical, magical thing that is storytelling. Just like create that mist that surrounds a storyteller and involve other people in that mist so they're all within your story and listening to it, right? That's what storytelling is. And I've found that the best way to tell a story is to listen to the story yourself, is to see the story in your head and just say what you see. It sounds really stupid, and it probably is really stupid, but that's the whole thing about storytelling. Storytelling is paradoxical and weird and doesn't always make sense. There's a spirituality to it. And if you don't embrace that spirituality, if you don't understand that that is a part of it, you're not going to tell a good story. That's what I'm trying to understand right now. And I don't know if I'm doing a good job of understanding it, but that's the way that I see it. So today I went to work, but I didn't go to work in the normal way that I would go to work. Normally I would take a car and drive to work. But today, there happened to only be one car, and my parents needed to use that car, so I was dropped off at work. I was going to be picked up at 6 o'clock, but due to unforeseen circumstances, toward the end of my work shift, my dad called me and said that I would have to be picked up at 7:30, which is an hour and a half later. I didn't like hearing that, but I decided to just go with it and be like, okay, fine. So I took a very long walk around where I worked. And I haven't taken a walk around where I worked ever before. So I have driven down the road, in a car many, many times. But I noticed that when you take a walk down a road, it's a much different experience. Like you notice so many more details about the place. You notice that there's this giant bush wall, like a bush that forms a wall on the sidewalk right next to you. Or you notice that the thing there that you thought was a church is actually a church and a school at the same time. Or you notice that there's like little intricate details all around you. Just you notice a lot more things. And so I took this walk whilst noticing things about the world. And it was a great experience. But I knew that I wasn't going to be able to walk for an hour and a half and keep having fun. So I decided to maybe try and find somewhere where I could hang out and wait. And what's the best place to hang out and wait if you just need to kill some time? Well, the library, that's what. Just go sit down and read a book all day. It'll make the time fly by like it's no tomorrow. And so I looked up on my phone a library, and it said that the closest library was called like Orrell Library or something like that. And it was across, it looked like it was across the street from where I had constantly driven, but I had never seen a library there before. So I went searching for this library and found out that it was way, way up a hill, and it wasn't actually a real library. It was a library that was attached to some high school. So I walked onto this high school campus and found the library building, and obviously it was closed because this is way after 4:30 when high schools close. But it was interesting because it was a beautiful looking campus that I had no idea was there, right up the hill. This whole entire campus, there was like a football field, a soccer field, like this giant rich campus full of like stuff. But it was also completely desolate and empty because it was past 4:30. Why would anyone be there then? So, yeah, that's what I discovered that. I discovered a high school campus for a Jesuit high school, because there were like names like St. Aloysius Hall, or I don't know, Orel, whatever. Just a bunch of saint names for all the buildings. So yeah, it's a Catholic high school, I guess. Probably a private school by the looks of it. And I didn't really get to do anything there because all the doors were locked because it was closed. So I went back down to the main road, and then I went to McDonald's and got myself something to eat. I noticed when I went into the McDonald's, this was one of those McDonald's where they don't like you hanging around the McDonald's. They don't want you sitting there and just wait all day, because there was this sign that said 30 minutes limit to how long you can spend eating our food, or something like that, right? So I ordered like a small fry and ate it for 30 minutes. And it was getting close to 7:30, but then I noticed on my phone that my dad had sent me another text. This other text said, "Sorry, but I'm not going to be able to get to you until 8 o'clock. It was currently close to 7:30. Well, there was no way that I was going to be able to make 30 minutes stretch to 8 o'clock, all the way to 8 o'clock at this point, because I'd already spent like 20 minutes in there. So I finished my food and I left McDonald's. Then I walked into Walmart, because there's a Walmart across the parking lot from McDonald's. And I just walked through all the sections for like half an hour. Then I finally my dad came, and I had told him that I was at McDonald's, so he was waiting there at McDonald's. And then we went home. And that's my story. It's a lame and boring story, and I don't know why I started with like the explanation of how to tell a story, but I guess that's just the way I start with this podcast. Who knows anymore? Who knows if this is going to work at all? This is the end of the Kokino Podcast for now, folks. I will see you guys next time.